Good morning to you. I can hear you very well. Victor Olo, back in the studio, Nairobi. And what a wonderful conversation on the political affairs of the country there in studio. Can we just now switch gears to Kisumu and look at the Western Spectrum segment on the Good Morning Kenya show with me, Weekly for Ketch. This morning, remember, Western Kenya Spectrum, rather the Western Spectrum is that segment that brings you informative conversations on the various topical issues, especially those that are so relevant and affect the western part of Kenya. And this morning, like I've mentioned, this is we're going to look at the plight of widows in the country. Over the time, we know the widows have been enduring quite ups and downs. What are those challenges that they continue facing? I hear stigma is still manifesting among them. What are the ways actually to eradicate the stigma, especially that affect the widows? And with me already are guests from an organization called Nyanam Widows Rising. This is an organization that has a catchment in the western part of Kenya that is offering support systems to the widows in the country. Just next to me is Reverend Nicodemus Agumba, actually is the head of programs at that particular organization, and also a widow, a supported widow, an empowered widow, that is Helen C. Jenny. I hope I got that name right now. To KBC Channel 1. And to start us off, you may want to, I'll start with you, Helen. The widowhood, what does it come with? Basically, you may want to tell us probably when you lost your husband, unfortunately, and what has been the experience so far. Talk to our viewers.
Husband in 2004. It was a very bad experience anyway, because one, from the background where I was born, I'm an orphan, and so my husband was the only hope here. Is was like the only person that I could lean to. But when I lost him, I had a lot of challenges bringing up the children. That is one. Then two, I didn't even have a home. The house that I was built was very small, just because he was in the mortuary, and they built for him. They built for me a small house. After that, I stayed in that house for 3 years. I could not take my children to school well because I didn't have that capacity. I was jobless. I depended so much on my husband because he was the breadwinner. Fortunately, I had my in-law who was over 8 years, but she loved me so much that most of the time, when the daughters brought food for her, she will always share with me. But the challenges I had was to bring up these children. At the same time, where I was living was not conducive environment. And the big challenge here is that as a widow, nobody listens to you. Nobody wants you to even give your idea, even make a decision in the family. Then two, when you want to inquire about even the property of your husband, no one is listening. So one of my sister-in-law took away my children. In a way, she took away the children, telling me that, Helen, you're taking these children away from you just for you to settle. And that one was a trauma to me, because staying in this house alone without the children. But according to my thinking, it was like they took the children because they thought I would run away. Because sometimes I joke around because being young and beautiful. Mm-hmm. So they thought I would run away. After 1 year, I was doing farming because my mother-in-law gave me a small garden, so I was doing farming. And every time that I get my products from the farm, I take to her to take care of my children. But then one day I just sat down and said, no, even if I'm suffering, even if I'm going through whatever I'm going through, I need to go through with my children. So within 1 year, I went to her, asked her for my children. Then she gave me my children for Christmas. Then I decided they are not going back. And up to date, my children, they don't visit you for even 2 weeks or 1 month. They never went back. Mm-hmm. So from there, the challenges I had were paying the school fees, taking them to good schools, which I could not. And in fact, there was a time I even lost hope. Mm-hmm. And I decided that now I was making some mandazi and hawking mandazi, but I could not meet the ends. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I withdrew the children from school. So one day, one widow approached me, and this widow was a head teacher in one of the primary schools. approached me and told me, Helen, you are not the first widow in the world. And at the same time, you can do better than others. But to me, I had lost hope. And he told me, because your firstborn, who was called Patricia, was a bright girl, I'll take her to school, but I'm not going to pay fees for her. You will be paying school fees from the product from the farm. So it made me to work so hard in my farm. And I was paying fee through that. At times came that I could not even visit my girl in school. And in that school, it was Maseno Primary Boarding. There was a kitty for the vulnerable children, whereby those who had who had more than enough were to put some toilet tissues there, bread and whatever. So for us who didn't have enough, we were to go to school on a visiting day. We go and pick a few things that we don't have, then we go and visit our children. Mm-hmm. My children were facing a lot of challenges, and especially on the lifestyle that they were leading was not as others. This one also frustrated me so much and made me to work hard in my farm. When my girl was did her KCP, she did so well and passed. When I was looking for support, it was not easy for me to get, simply because there is assumption in most of the communities that a widow is somebody that most people always say that I refer to it as most of the community members always look at us over the fence. They want to see you. Will you prosper? Will you be somebody in the future? Mm-hmm. So one day I applied being a assistant chief in my area after 3 years. Mm-hmm. And the question I was asking a panel was, how will you take care of the community around and you're a widow?
Where's this area specifically?
I'm from Korando. This is in the central Kisumu.
Korando, that's in Kisumu West constituency.
Kisumu West constituency, mm-hmm. Yes. And it was like, what a widow can also lead. A widow can do other things better than others. But I was frustrated from there. I got devastated so much. So I came back and decided that now I want to work hard and at least build another house, even if it's a mud house, but better than what I have, because that one was like where we are. And you have children 3. This is your store, this is your bedroom, this is your sitting room. We call it the bed sitter. So when I did this, the first day that I asked for support, nobody gave me the support, and it was like, why do you want to do that? Remember, I did tell you earlier I was second wife. Okay. And they told me, yeah, could you think better than your first wife? So my family members was like, they were for the first wife and not for the second wife. Yes. So the first time when I asked for the support, nobody gave me. And I was by that time I was a youth leader for our church members. By that time I was in Anglican church. So this one also exposed me. So when the politics, in 2007, when those who wanted to be MPs, who were vying for the MPs, approached me. And the first thing that I told them, that anybody who will take my child to school, I will support and will give you full support. So one of them, who I don't want to mention, came with it was all over in the newspaper that my girl was supported because she got over 370 points. When I approached him and asked him, you had agreed to support me, to support my child to go to school, and now it is 2 weeks, the children are in school and mine is at home. Then he told me, I'm not the only one who is vying for that MP. Mm-hmm. I went back and cried with my child at home. Then the other person also approached me, who was an Honorable Lagaloch. And when Lagaloch approached me, I told him the same thing, that I was disappointed. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be disappointed again, because I'm having my girl at home. So anybody who will support this girl, I will give that person the support.
So at the end of the day, the 3 children that you are left with, I'm trying to hope that they got the education that they deserved.
Yeah, I tried as a widow.
Yes.
Yes, my firstborn Patricia is a nurse. Mm-hmm. Yes, she's a nurse in Bama Hospital in Siaya County. Yes, the secondborn is still. We say the youths are hustling. Mm-hmm. He's hustling in Eldoret, and the thirdborn is also just graduated last year. Mm-hmm. She did IT. Yes.
So overall, where would you say you got the support systems from?
The first support I got was from Honorable Laga Lodge.
Sure.
Yes, to support my children.
That's the political class.
The political class. Then the second support was from the church. Yeah, but for the church was just emotional support. Yeah, that is where I got. And now the last support that I've now gotten is from Yana. That has really exposed me so much. Yeah, and being a widow mentor, and you share with the widows and then you listen to their stories, it has made me go far. I can now stand for my own. In fact, I've given myself a name as a widow activist. I would not stand there and see you insulting a widow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I see you are an opinion leader and a very active member of the society, especially on issues that deal with leadership. You've mentioned Nyanam Widows Rising, and we have the programs officer, the manager in charge of programs at that particular organization, Reverend Nicodemus. Even as you say hello to our viewers, this organization, basically, what does it entail?
Thank you so much. As Nyanam, number one, we believe widows are part of us. And then number two, we believe widows can rise and widows can lead. And so Nyanam is a restorative justice organization, and we prepare widows to lead. We prepare widows to be the leaders of change in communities, and we do this through integrated programs. Yeah, we do this through integrated programs. We have 3 thematic areas. That is leadership and holistic well-being, and also sustainable livelihoods. And through teaching, we believe giving widows this knowledge will actually help them be in frontline, understanding what stigma is, because the big enemy we are fighting is widowhood stigma. Yeah, and widowhood stigma is deep, and it's really affecting widows, and it's really affecting widows' children. So, as Nyanam, we are intentionally teaching widows how to understand the stigma and how to openly see the stigma they are facing, and also how to come up with how they can be part of solving this problem. Yes.
What is your catchment area? Which counties do you cover?
We cover Kisumu County, Siaya County, but we are mandated by the government to work in 5 counties in Kenya.
5 counties. 5 counties. Is it in the Lake Region Belt?
Yes.
Yes.
That is Kisumu County, Siaya County, Mabei County, Migori County, and also we are also mandated to work in Nairobi County. Yes.
I'd really love to know how. You'll explain to us how people will get can become part and parcel of Nyanam and to get these support systems. But then, before we get there, Helen, I'm very much interested in knowing the plight of widows in the country today. Do you feel included in any aspect of the community? Talk about the social protection, talk about the political leadership. Do you feel included as widows?
We are not included so much because let me start with the political wing. In politics, to me as Helen, I thought that the widows should be given a special priority. Just as sometimes when we come to these nominations, they give the youths priority, and when they talk of the women, women is a general language. But now when you specify and say the widows, I always want that widows to be given that opportunity in nomination, whereby the widows' voice can be heard. They can be represented in Parliament or in the county assembly. I was last year, 2025, when we had that Siaya County had passed a bill to protect the widows. I was like, wow, kudos to Siaya. But my question is it implemented? And if it is yes, then other counties should do the same, because we need the widows' voice to be there, which has not been there. When you come to the government, let's talk of this WISO fund, let's talk of the youth fund and women enterprises fund. These are just still general things, but widows are not included because they just apply like any other Kenyan. But if they can be given just widows fund, whereby we fund the widows, we empower them economically, so that these widows can also have that sustainable livelihood where they can put food on the table. They can also have money to do their other things. They can have grants for widows. I mean widows specifically. In the community, there's a lot of challenges that widows go through. Loss of properties that their husbands left. This is now very common. And that is where now that stigma also comes in. Because the widows, most of them, they lose their land, they lose the properties in the hands of the in-laws. Then there's that forced inheritance. They are forced because of the cultural norms within the community, which has really exposed us to HIV and AIDS. I was taking data some 3 weeks ago, just as Helen. In every 10 widows, 10 women, you get 10 widows. 4 widows there, you get 6 widows there. So generally, in every 10 women, you'll get 6 widows. So the number of widows is really increasing each and every day. So the parenting also is a challenge to the widows, because of the stigma we go through. You know, when you are when people don't respect you, when people don't love you, when people don't support you emotionally after losing your husband, parenting also becomes a challenge. Yeah. So these are the challenges that widows are really going through.
And various organizations are coming forth actually to give you, or rather to offer widows support systems. You've mentioned politically, you've mentioned socially, and also economically. Even the government is also devising some measures actually to respond to the economic challenges that bedevil widows in the country. Such organizations include the NYANAM that we have Nicodemus here as the head of programs. Specifically, you've heard Ellen mention some of the challenges that they still face today. How is NYANAM responding to these challenges?
Thank you. Number one, I mentioned earlier that we are doing a lot in teaching widows, like taking them through. We actually take them through 12 models. And in these models, we just make sure to show them their dignity and inform them of who they are, and tell them their position. And now, together with widows, together with them, after giving them all this information and after empowering them, we are connecting with the male in the communities. You know, let me tell you, we train widows and then we allow them to do something we call social action. And when they are doing social action in the community, the community is seeing what they are doing. The community is seeing, for example, the community see widows like, for example, if we take the case of land, we usually take them through the land rights. And after this knowledge on land rights and allowing them to go back to the community, now to have the social actions in the community, they are attending barazas and with their rights and working together with the local administration, the chiefs and assistant chiefs, we are really supporting them. But we are again saying that it is a fight that we should all fight as a nation, as a people. Like the institutions, like the churches, like the men in the community, we should come up together and see how we can fight widowhood stigma, because it is real, it is still there, like Helen is saying. We are really fighting it, and we are really calling upon other institutions and other people to join us, and we fight it together just to make sure we give widows their position and we allow them to lead.
Mm-hmm. These incidents of widows being disinherited of their matrimonial property, especially after their husband passes on, these incidents are still rampant. And you've mentioned social action. What would be your assessment? Is the community embracing, or rather, how is the community responding to social action by the widows that you guys handle?
This is, I see that as part of the power that the community is actually feeling, apart from us being NYANAM. But what the widows are doing in the community, after preparing widows and after training widows, what they are doing in the community is even speaking louder. Because again and again, we've heard from different chiefs and assistant chiefs talking about who are these women. We see them different in the community. We see what they are doing is not normal. they are not sitting back and just saying we are widows, we cannot do 1, 2, 3, but they are in the front line doing a lot of things, and they have that boldness and confidence approaching any office around and approaching any issue in front of them. And so I think the social action is really doing a lot, because we have around not less than 12 social actions in 3 years. And so all these social actions are done in the community, and it's part of how we are felt. We are felt because of the social actions by our widows.
All right. And maybe I may not have mentioned at the start of this conversation, because tomorrow, that will be the 23rd of June, will be the world will be marking the International Day for the Widows, where the plight of the widows will be the focus for tomorrow. And when you look at the theme for tomorrow's International Day of the Widows, it touches on justice, dignity, and economic power for widows. And Ellen, that brings me to the question that when you look at this, the theme that is touching on justice, dignity, and economic power for the widows, does it relate? Does your situation now?
Oh yes, just to go back on the social action. Mm-hmm. When we talk of the social action and that the theme, it comes together after every training. Let me just add that one on what Reverend had said. After the training that we always go through, then we do the social action. The social action to us is that when we go back to the community are now starting to feel the widows. How do they feel the widows? We go back and apply what we were trained. So like, for example, when we were trained on the human rights and the land and property rights. So when we go back now, we have a voice. We can approach the administrators. Even those who are compromised, we can approach them and they can hear our voice. We can also identify where the community had gone wrong on not supporting the community. The theme will, I think, will relate well to the widows, because it will help the widows also to understand on how they can take care of themselves, on how they can take care of their properties, and on how they can empower. It can empower also the widows economically. So I think that it's really important to the widows. Yes.
Carry on.
Yes. I wanted also to say that the reason why Nyanam has really made a change to most of the widows that are in Nyanam is that after the training, we are empowered, and we are now no longer voiceless. I had said it before, we are no longer voiceless. We will simply tell you when you are wrong, you are wrong. Then Nyanam has really done a lot of things. You know, we always believe that anybody who gives you a Bible gives you life. Because with the Nyanam, each and every widow in Nyanam, the first gift that Nyanam gives them is a Bible. And then the Bible, they are being trained on how to study that Bible and understand it deeply. And anybody that understands the Bible deeply, even the way you think, it changes positively. So when you come back, like me, when I was talking, I didn't even mention this, but let me say, for the last 20 years, I didn't know that I was holding that grudge within the community, and especially within the family that surrounds me. Even though they don't make noise, they don't talk to me a lot, but the action speaks louder than words. That after the first training I had in Nyanam was on trauma healing. After the trauma healing, I realized that I was holding grudge, and so I had to make peace with my family. And the community could realize that Helen has changed, as much as my voice would be heard.
And the aspect of trauma healing, that's very critical and very core to widows' particular phase.
Yes, it is. Trauma healing, most of the widows, I want to believe that if most of them are in trauma, and the trauma healing is key. I think that each and every widow should go through that training. I always even tell the managers here that the trauma healing, because it makes you now understand. You know, most of widows, most of them have not accepted that they lost their husband. And you know, acceptance is key also. If you don't accept that you've lost your husband, it is not very easy for you to move. But after the trauma healing, some of them change. There are some people who join Yanam and you think they are going to die the next day, because anybody that hears of an organization that supports widow, people run there with a lot of expectation. But in Yanam, they want to train you to be a leader in your society, and a responsible leader who can put food on the table. Yeah.
And not necessarily offering it.
Yes, and in fact, me, I always tell the widows in Yanam, because I'm a widow mentor, and any widow who is not in Yanam within our community, that we don't need sympathy. We need somebody who can advise us, who can tell us what can you do to sustain your life? What can you do to retain your children in school? What can you do to put food on the table? What can you do so that your voice can be heard? But you don't sympathize and come and give us handouts. Then tomorrow, what will I eat? Yes.
You did. Widows don't need sympathy.
We don't need sympathy.
They need
We
support.
need empathy.
Exactly. Empathy, right?
Yes.
Nicodemus,
Yes.
I'm really interested because widowed cuts across. It's not just the women alone. Even men, they also, when their spouses pass on, they're also left with this responsibility to bring up the rest of the family on their own. Why do you just deal with women and not men?
Yeah, thank you so much. We have been asking those questions again and again, and I myself I tried moving from Kisumu to Siaya just to get men who are coming together as widowers, and they are not there. They are not there. You will, like, for us, we don't work with the individual widows. We work with group. And I was looking for a group like this. Is a group of men who are widowers, and they are not there. So this is our 7th year operating as Nyanam International Widows Rising, and we've only heard of one group from Central Kenya. Of widowers, like one group. We've only heard of that one group. So we were just looking around. Now the thing is, here, this is part of the social construction that is not really healthy, because you lose your husband today, the community will be looking into you and putting a lot of restrictions in your life. And you will be watched, the church will be watching you, the community will be watching you, the in-laws will be watching you. But now for men, they lose their wives, and even during the burial day, that very day, you will hear the in-laws saying, "We will bring our daughter to take care of the children," and that is giving you another wife. And for widows, they are not allowed. For the ladies, they are not allowed to think around that. The church is saying another thing, and the culture is also saying another thing, with a lot of restrictions.
So the cultural aspects are not very fair to the widows.
Not fair at all. Not fair at all. Because number one, widows are not given, even if the culture is allowing them to maybe get somebody again in their life as husband, they are not allowed to freely choose who is coming in their life. It's like you are given somebody to take care of you, and they believe like you lose your husband, then you are not clean. You should go through some processes, the cleansing. And I don't see how they are not clean. I don't see the chemistry around that, and the reasoning around that is not clear. And so the culture is giving a lot of restrictions. You cannot do this until you get an inheritor, and they are not really taking care of how you get the inheritor, not actually what you want. But for men, they have a lot of sympathy. Like you lose your wife, and then you have a lot of sympathy. Nobody will touch anything that belongs to you or to your wife. Nobody will cross your line. People will just be coming and embracing you and seeing that you should be supported, which is not the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
Helen,
Yes.
Nicodemus has mentioned that as an organization, as the Nyanam Widows Rising organization, they handle groups, they deal with groups of widows and not individuals. You'll tell me if you have a specific group that actually, through which you advocate for your affairs and how this group has been important to you. But again, there's this issue of stigma. You've heard him mention that the widowers are more are somewhat favored by the cultural dispensation in the society. So, in that group, how have you handled stigma?
Handle the stigma in my group. Okay. First, for us to form a group, first we have to come together as widows, only widows, and then we share our experiences. When we share our experiences, what we have gone through, this is whereby, when you have a group of widows, you are all free to tell a story because you passed through that. And I always tell them that, tell us the story that what you passed through in widowhood. And we believe that it's a conducive area because each and every person had lost a husband. So the first thing is sharing the story, whereby now you will listen to each and everyone's story. One also will listen to your story, and this person will be like, oh, if Helen has passed through this, then I can also manage it. Stigma also lower our esteem. So first we want to find out what can we do about the stigma that widows go through. So that is where now we come up with, after the stories, then we come up with the ideas on how we can sustain ourselves, because most of them believe that we are people who cannot sustain themselves. So when we come up with the ideas on how we can sustain ourselves, then that stigma, again, now we are lowering the stigma. 2, we do table banking. Yeah. So when we do table banking, even if we start like in my group, and when I started, we started with only 100 shillings per person, but we meet weekly. So this 100 shillings, and we are 24 members. Every week we save 2,400. At the end of the year, I'm telling you, our table banking, we were at the end of 2 years, we were able to share out almost 500,000. That's almost 500,000. Yeah. So from there, the stigma is now, we are lowering the stigma. And it's like now we are very important in the community because we can sustain ourselves. So that's most of the things we do. Again, it's love between ourselves. When we love ourselves, we will not be listening to those funny stories and insults. Widows are called prostitutes. I always tell people that widows, being a widow is like a dustbin. Everybody
That's a big word.
Yes, and a big word, and it's so hurting. Yeah, we are just like dustbin. People come and throw, even somebody that you look at in the community who is not supposed to talk about you will just come and say anything. We are not even allowed to greet you. Your wife will really insult us. Maybe I'm even better off than her, but because she has a husband, she can say anything about
That's the reality in the society today?
Yes, it is. Just what Reverend mentioned, like now you are forced to get inheritance by your in-laws from the family member. And because you're so desperate, and we are also human beings. Remember, once we were a wife, we were having our husband, we could share a lot of things. Yeah, but now that person is not there, and especially at the age of, we have widows of age of 18 to 50, we still need somebody. So, okay, you are forced, and then you are forced, that love has come. The next thing, you will be seen in a community as cursed, and somebody who is a husband snatcher. They will talk about you, and I always tell them, somebody's husband is not your husband. As much as he's there for you, we only need just some comfort, just a shoulder to lean on, but we don't need from their support so much because they don't support. Yeah.
Now, what do you propose to be as an elimination to that stigma?
To eliminate that stigma, widow just has to be heard in the community. A widow has to be somebody who can sustain herself. Yeah, so you don't depend on your in-laws. You don't depend on the community. You be somebody who value yourself and accept that your husband died. Then you move on.
All right.
Yes.
You've mentioned a very critical aspect of joining groups, forming and joining these groups actually through which you can get the social support, even organize yourselves economically. And you've mentioned that the table banking aspect that has been so part and parcel and very important to your economic situation. I'd really love to know which more ways can the government actually adopt to feel to make widows feel part and parcel of the community?
Yeah, that one is also our cry. Government to make the widows part and parcel of their part and parcel in the community, or to be felt. And that is why I'd say that me as Helen, I sometimes just cry that can the government pass a bill that protect the widows. and then they look at them differently than the way they look at other women in general. That's why I mentioned that can the widows also be nominated? Just specifically widows, a widow to be nominated, maybe in a county assembly or parliament. Can we also have just a special baraza called Widows Baraza once in a year, whereby they can all talk about their issues, about the parenting, about the land and property rights, whether the administrator can call the experts to come and talk to them, because even parenting is a big issue in widowhood. So if the government can do all these things, then we can be felt. But the community where we come from, the society, should just accept us and let them love us. Let them give us that emotional support and economic support. But the emotional support is key here also, because we mourn. We are human beings. We mourn our husbands. But sometimes you mourn, but there's nobody who is supporting you. Yeah. So we just need that emotional support as the widows.
Nicodemus, there's a question that I would want you to address, Ellen. Is it different being a widow in the urban settings and being a widow in the rural settings? I'll come to that. But first, Nicodemus, Nyanam is offering that support system to the widows and training them on leadership, or rather to be a force to reckon with in pushing for the rights of the widows. Which other ways do you think specifically can the government or rather the society adopt to make the widows also feel part and parcel of the society?
Thank you so much. Before I come to that, let me just add something on that word that Helen used. They are like dustbin. Yeah, that is the reason why the founder of Nyanam, Widows Rising, decided to work with widows. You know, Nyanam began sometimes back in 2012, and it was actually not NGO. It was, by then it was a CBO, and they were working in the community. And our executive director by that time was actually taking her studies in abroad, and she was actually bringing a lot to the community in terms of supporting children who are going to school. And one thing that was clear to her at some point is that widows were not heard; they were not included. But anything, any mistake, any problem in the community, widows will be blamed first. They are not given opportunity to talk. But if anything goes wrong, then people can just go in their lives and accuse them and abuse them. And this is part of the formation of Nyanam International. So it is true that that is why we exist, to fight widowhood stigma. But again, what you're asking, I feel like we are doing more on trainings, like I said, and we are doing other things, like we are also building widows' houses. So far we've built 18 houses, and we are doing good houses, dignified houses. We are also supporting widows with the seed fund for the table banking, just to make sure that the micro business is happening. We are also supporting them with the succession, like we support them with the fee, and also we give the support in somebody who can lead them in the process. We train them, and then we give somebody who can also support them in the process, and we pay for all that.
Very well.
Yes.
I congratulate you on that, actually, that bit of coming through for the widows. But from the government aspect, what would you want to see the government doing to make people like Helen feel part and parcel of the society?
Actually, that is where I was heading to. Number one, from my end and from what we are seeing, if the government will consider widows when it comes to succession, because when it comes to succession, you know, the government is there, the chiefs are there, the Sun chiefs are there, the introductory letter from them, which is actually free, and some of our chiefs are really doing great, like Chief Paul. They are doing it without asking any money from the widows. But some other chiefs are not doing that. They are asking money, and widows cannot able to raise this money. So if the government can single out through the local administration how they can support widows when it comes to inheriting what belongs to them, what belongs to their husband. That will be a great thing to me. But again, there are other funds the government is giving women, and if there will be a specific fund for widows, then that will be great. That way the government will support widows, because just you heard from Ellen, if they will be economically stable, then they will have a voice. They will not look for men to maybe somebody else, like along the lake line you had something sex for fish.
Sure.
They will not look for men around, or like practice something which is not good to them just to get a sugar. If we can empower them economically, and then we see that emotionally they are also empowered, and they are given space to show their self-worth. You know, the government has so many ways. But now, from my end right now, if the government will set aside funds for widows, I know there are funds for women. If they can go beyond that and think of widows, and have a specific fund directed to support widows, that will be great.
Right.
Yes, because
it all boils down to the economic capability of widows. Yes. I'd really love to know. I'll come to you later, even as we head towards the end of this conversation. I know tomorrow the world will be marking the International Day for the Widows, and Nyanam organization has lined up quite a number of activities. That is in Ababo, should be in Kisumu West still.
Yes.
All right. You'll tell us just briefly about that. But Helen, I wanted to know, widowed in the urban settings and rural, the difference.
The difference is not much, because all of them are widows. They are all the women who have lost their spouses. Sure. We always say that they have that freedom to choose who they want to be with, and especially when it comes to inheritance, but it's not permanent. When it comes to the rural area, you are forced to choose. It's not you to choose who you want, but you are forced, simply because now you have to finish some of the cultural rights that within that family. Then too, in urban, most of the widows in urban may be economically, you can say economically maybe they are a bit stable. But while in the rural area, it's not very easy because of what they go through. And especially, in rural area, you cannot make decision for yourself. People are there to look after you, and they make even wrong decisions, and they force you to. But in urban area, they make their own decision because their families are not around them. Yeah. So those are the different. But what makes them all of them are widows. Yeah.
All right. Just hold in there. Nicodemus.
Yes.
What are these activities that you'll be holding tomorrow? Because I know there's a graduation of some 196. That's a big number that will be graduating after following a 3-year training. Just apart from that, what other activities are set to be rather lined up for tomorrow?
Sorry, let me put in another thing here. Like the experience we have, widows in the urban area and widows in the rural areas. Nobody want to identify with widowhood. So the rural widows, they are forced, and they don't have otherwise. And you come to urban, widows don't want to say we are widows. That is the truth. And they rather go with the name single mother, but not a widow, because widowhood comes with a lot of stigma, a lot of isolation, and a lot of people just perceive you like they despise you. So that is what we've seen. That is what we've seen of late. But now, tomorrow, Tuesday, 23rd June 2026, we will be celebrating International Widows Day. This is just a day we put aside, a very special day to recognize our widows and to show them love. So the graduation is there, and the graduation is because we have the process. We have the level 1 or phase 1, where we invite widows. We give them a period of 9 to 12 months, just to the foundational period, to know one another. and to also identify how best they can support one another. And then we bring them to this phase 2, which is 3 years, the training and training and training. And I told you we have 12 modules. And after these 12 modules, they now graduate. It's like we give them crown to go back and change the community. So that is part of what we will be celebrating tomorrow. But again, we do this with so many partners. The funders, some funders who are actually supporting us to stand in for widows, and also people like the TI people, the pro bono lawyers. They will also be there to give services. We will also do the eye care, like we give specs. We bring the clinicians who will take care of that. So we'll be giving spectacles, the eyeglasses, and we will be also taking care of the pro bono lawyers will be taking care of the legal part
in terms of succession.
In terms of succession and all of that.
Right.
Yes.
Before I give you a minute each to give us your closing remarks, I'd really love to know, Nicodemus, how can people become part of this family? Because widows need these support systems. Just under 30 seconds, tell us, how can people become members of Nyanam Widows Rising?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we don't work with individual widows. We work with widows in groups. And right now, we are not really forming groups as Nyanam. Widows themselves are bringing themselves together, forming a group, and then they reach out to us. And then we do the introduction with them, and then they know who we are, and then they choose to work with us.
Reaching out, how? How do they get to you?
Yeah, mostly they get to us through the other widows. Mm-hmm. Yes, they get to us through other widows, and also we have also our numbers that are there with our widows. They call or they send their documents to us, and then we reach out to them.
All right, Helen. All right, Helen. Yes. In less than a minute, your closing remark. What would you want to see the society doing, actually? Those changes that you wish for within the society to make you feel part and parcel of the society.
Thank you. Just what I had said before, just we want the society to accept the widows. That acceptance is very important. And we want the society to allow the widows also to lead. Let them allow us to lead in the community. And I just wanted to add something about what the Reverend has said about joining Nyanam. Joining Nyanam also is the groups that are formed. They get to know, those who have not joined Nyanam, they get to know that from the transformed widows. We always say that after you've gone through all the trainings, you are transformed. And then people get attracted to know who has transformed Helen, and now Helen become a leader. She can talk on behalf of the widows. So that is how they get it. Another thing that I would like the community to do, and especially, let me talk of the government. If the government can put aside the lawyers that can help the widows' cases, can handle the widows' cases at a lower rate, or at a lower cost, or free of charge, because they lose their properties because of that. Right. They don't have enough, economically they are not empowered. But we need the society to empower them emotionally and economically. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much, Helen and Nicodemus. I wish we had more time actually to exhaust this further, but then we can always create another time to have this conversation. But then that marks the end of our conversation this morning on Western Spectrum segment on the Good Morning Kenya show, where we've been talking about the plight of widows in the country. What more ways can the government and the society actually adopt to make the widows feel part and parcel of the society for the sake of inclusivity? And that's the reason I have been having Helen Sijenyi, who is a widow actually, and also a voice of change within the society on matters widowhood, and the head of programs at Nyanam Widows Rising Organization, that is Nicodemus Agumba. And thank you so much, viewers, for calling us that particular time. And before I hand you back to the headquarters for the continuation of the Good Morning Kenya show,